Hello,
Hello.
Mental Health Monday family. I almost said the wrong thing, Living Man of Church family. So I was like, wait, Mental Health Monday family. Hi, guys. Good to see you here. So happy that you guys are with us. I know we missed a week last week. Good to see you, Dr. White.
Good to see you as well.
And I am trying to make this so that I can see the chat so I can see what people are saying. Let's, all right. How has your week been, Dr. White?
It has been a peaceful week, relatively speaking. Of course, my mom is staying with me, and my mom can cook. So it really,
Oh.
yeah, it really
Oh,
makes,
is that right?
yes, it's very therapeutic. Um,
Yeah. What are some of the Panamanian dishes?
Panamanian dishes, it would be like, um, especially arroz con pollo, that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't eat chicken, but if you want it authentic,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
a lot of Caribbeans migrated to Panama.
I
So,
do know that. Mm-hmm.
so there is, quite a bit. So we do a lot of Jamaican stuff as well, like ground food, ackee and saltfish,
Okay.
all that kind of stuff. But oh
I'm
man,
impressed.
gosh,
I'm impressed,
she's,
Dr.
gang-
White.
she's gangster. She's
So
gangster.
you haven't been complaining about mom being there at all. You're like,
Oh
oh,
no,
you're happy. You get to come home.
no.
Not that Florence was not already killing it in the kitchen. I know she was, but you're just like you get your wife and your mom's cooking, so you're happy.
Well, Florence has been studying to pick up her doctorate.
Okay.
So I've kind of like relieved her of kitchen, requirements,
Yes.
all that kind of stuff. She just has been focusing on that. So to have mom come behind and provide some support to both of us, we are very appreciative. Very.
That is amazing. That's amazing. Well, I want to say welcome to some of our viewing audience. And please forgive me if I say this wrong, but Camagello, I think it's Camagello. I could be wrong, but welcome from South Africa. And Camagello, I think is saying it's 2:05 in the morning. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Mental Health Monday. We feel so privileged to have you
You're honored.
to
You're
think of us and to wake up in the early mornings in the country of South Africa and tune in. We really appreciate it. Also, Christopher Andrew is saying hello. So, Christopher, where are you viewing from? And please, others, let us know where you're viewing from and share this link on your social media. Let others know that you are watching a mental health program that is being hosted by two mental health professionals and that they get to ask their questions. And our topic, I should say, is about alcohol and alcoholism and what alcohol addiction can do to you. So definitely share that. But let us know where you're viewing from because we wanna hear from you. We want to hear from you. I know we took a week off. I had to go, and you're talking about moms. I had to go take care of my mom,
oh,
and I was in California for the week, but it was like I wasn't vacationing, I was working.
yeah, you were handling business.
Yes, but I did enjoy being in California on the coast. I forgot, like, I really didn't bring warm enough clothes because here in the South, like when it starts to warm up, like it's warm in the evenings, it's warm in the morning, like it's warm, right? I forgot the coastal. How did I forget? I've only been gone 3 years, but the coastal climate when it gets in the evening and the morning, it's chilly, and you have to do layers. So it's going to heat up during the day, but you're going to need like a light jacket during the day. I mean, in the morning and in the evening for sure.
Absolutely. Like it's funny when you live in California, you always have a jacket near you, no matter what.
Because you
You
never,
always because the weather just shifts so
it
dramatically.
shifts. That coastal breeze is coming in. Definitely. Okay, Christopher, you're in Wildwood, Florida. Well, it's good to have you here, and we are so thankful to have you here and everyone else that is viewing and watching with us. So, Dr. White, you had to leave last time. You had to leave early. So, we are wanting to, I'm not going to talk as much today because we want to. I carried it for a little, I did carry it till the end. But I definitely did not have the knowledge that you have on addiction. So, we want to hear from you. And honestly, I can't even remember where we left off, but you can
Might as
pick it
well
up.
start from the top. But,
Yes, because we really didn't have a lot of time last time.
right, and this is sort of like it's hidden in plain sight.
Mm-hmm.
Alcohol addiction is often overlooked because it's kind of talked about so much. You don't think it's that big of a deal. But
Right.
when you look at the stats, you realize alcohol is nothing to ignore.
Mm-hmm.
It's something to take actually very, very seriously. One of the first questions I asked you was, how much do you think we as a nation spend on alcohol? And that statistic was so, like, I don't want to say alarming because that's a little too strong, but I think most
Right.
people about fall out of their chair. You were like, what do you think, like a billion or something like
I
that?
think I said 1 billion and you said way more than that. And see, I'm not remembering even what.
304 billion.
Yes, 304 billion.
304 billion. And so what that breaks down to is the average annual expenditure per customer unit on alcohol beverage was $637, up
Mm-hmm.
from $563 in 2022. Okay. So that's
Mm-hmm.
almost like the average, person in the US is spending that much on alcohol, like 600 bucks. So a US household spent on average $294 on alcoholic beverages consumed at home. All right. And in the
Mm-hmm.
same year, an average of $343 was spent on alcoholic beverages consumed away from home. All right. So we are spending a lot of
A
money on.
lot of money. Mm-hmm.
Here's something really funny. So as you're going through life, you're going to be in settings where you get pressured to drink, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think I got the most pressure to drink? The most pressure, like
Where you personally got the most pressure to drink?
most pressure. Yeah.
And it wasn't college? College?
It wasn't college. It wasn't even,
High school?
not even high school. This
Oh,
is
I think I know what you're going to say. Medical school.
not even medical school.
What?
Like, talk about dramatic
Um,
irony. I was at an addiction psychiatry conference, sitting around with my colleagues.
wow.
And they're ordering all kinds of sophisticated drinks, bourbon, and put the ice and bring some side water with it, and all this kind of elaborate stuff. And I'm dying laughing. And so then I'm like, hey man, I'll take I'll take my standard drink, a virgin pina colada. And I'm like, and I don't want her having any experience whatsoever. I want a virgin pina colada. So they take my order, and the waiter leaves, and all of them just launch into me. Why would you order that? Why did you order that? And it was
Oh
just so
man,
comical. Like,
that
give
is
me a
funny.
break. Why would
Yes.
that be a problem? So it was just super, super hysterical. But talk about dramatic irony, because you wouldn't think that you'd get pressure in that kind of a setting. So it's
Right. Well, I know your liver thanks you,
oh
and
man, oh man,
your whole body thanks you, but your liver thanks you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So just in terms of how much we spend, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a no-brainer because you see how much alcohol is used. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really interesting.
Yes, it definitely is. And so that we spend in producing alcohol, and then think about all the all the advertisement that they do for alcohol, all that's tied into that number.
Well, and it's unfortunate because I mean that's what you expect an advertisement to do. It just
Mm-hmm.
glorifies it. It just shows all the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It puts it at the center of being attractive and having
Mm-hmm.
friends, and it's at the core of a
It looks fun and elegant for for women. Mm-hmm.
it looks elegant, beautiful glasses and bottles, and I'm just like, I mean, and we know a reality that is very different than that.
Yes.
In terms of, hey, what actually happens?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
just so we talked about how alcohol is the third leading preventable cause of death in the US according to the CDC in 2022.
And you said third preventable.
Third preventable cause of death in the US. Uh,
Preventable, guys. Yeah, I want them that to
so
hone in. Mm-hmm.
we're talking about 140,000 deaths per year estimated from alcohol according to the CDC.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And what's interesting about one of the other statistics is that alcohol is associated with more overdoses compared to all the other drugs combined. as far as
Mm.
overdose death, including opiates.
Mm.
So
Wow.
it's almost like the silent killer, because like I just don't hear about this kind of stuff. Um, Now, in terms
Mm.
of traffic fatalities, what might you think the number might be? How many? So let's say let's say that there are 30,000 fatalities.
Mm-hmm.
What percentage of that 30,000 do you think is alcohol related?
If there's 30, say that again. If there's 30 fatalities,
If there's 30,000
oh,
fatalities,
30,000 fatalities,
how many of them are due to are connected to alcohol intoxication?
half.
That's not bad. So it's a third,
Oh,
one
wow.
third. So
Mm-hmm.
alcohol is responsible for 10,000 traffic accidents.
And I
Well,
believe that.
traffic fatalities.
I believe that because when you're, I mean, people say about drinking responsible and always having, a driver and all that type of stuff. But when people just aren't, do not, they're not thinking in that mature, wise mindset. I'm not saying everybody, but obviously the majority or a big chunk are not thinking that way. They think they have it. They don't have a real sense of how intoxicated they really are and that they
Well,
should not be on the road.
I mean, there's no question it impairs decision making. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, so part of and that's why you hear about the legal limit. But the obviously the more that you drink, the more it can impair your decision making, and so um, it's pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
what's I mean, this is a trick question. I'm trying to figure out how to. Well, you already said that my liver would thank me. So the liver plays a preeminent role in clearing the body of alcohol. Well, what is the function of the liver? Um, the liver is the body's detoxifier. So a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
medications that we might take, it's the liver that houses the reactions that are going to figure out how to metabolize that substance so that it can then get out of the body, whether
Mm-hmm.
excreted in physical waste or sweated out of the body or what have you. But it's the liver that figures out, hey, how are we going to get rid of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
um, and so you can imagine then why a liver that's not working is incompatible with life.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And also then it's the reason why when people drink, and obviously drink too much, it can result in the condition called cirrhosis, big word for scarring of the liver. But
Mm-hmm.
basically you're damaging the liver to the point where it's not functional.
Right.
And this obviously is incompatible with life if you don't get something like a liver transplant for
Mm-hmm.
which of course is not something that's easy necessarily to get. We're going to shift and talk about treatment in a moment, but
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted us to kind of think through some of these statistics.
Right. Things that we don't always think about. I mean, people were pretty blown away when you read that first, or when you read the statistic about how many um, casualties are from being drunk on from alcohol and causing fatalities. And when because you're about to switch gears now, and about treatments and things like that. But before we even go right into that, I know there's people who are viewing that have dealt with an alcoholic in their life, and are probably just wondering, like, what should they do as a friend, a family member, when they're trying to get somebody who's an alcoholic some help? What
Yeah.
should they do, and what should they not do?
Well, you and I both know that a hallmark for therapy and for therapeutic intervention is first start with listening. Like, listen and get really as clear as possible as for what is it that this person needs. What is their stated need? Do they even recognize that they have a need? So it's absolutely critical that whatever intervention you're thinking of, start with assessment. Okay, this is standard in professional, interaction. You start with assessment. You start with listening. So really and truly, try to get an understanding of what is this person's stated need. Um,
Mm-hmm.
do some listening, ask some good questions. One of the first things that the assessment will do is it will help you understand what stage the person is in. And I'm sure, Atante, you are familiar with the stages of change.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that's famous to motivational interviewing. One of the things you do is you got to see where is this person? Where is this person's level of motivation?
Right.
Because when you understand that, that's when you can match the intervention to their given stage of change.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would want to listen, but then I would want professional advice. I
Right.
personally, especially if I have a person dealing with something as serious as alcohol addiction, and we don't know anything about it, like
Right.
meaning I wouldn't hesitate to get a mechanic to get me some advice if my car broke down. I wouldn't hesitate. I wouldn't.
Right.
It's like, come on, like this is a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think sometimes with the mental health, issues, we feel like we can take it on ourselves. Like when in
Mm-hmm.
fact, at the root of an alcohol addiction is a neurobiological shift in the mindset
Mm-hmm.
that reorients the brain in a way where it becomes dependent on alcohol, right? Like
To function.
that's
Mm-hmm.
that's not intuitive. That's not
Right.
intuitive because
Mm-hmm.
what you're thinking is, man, this person just needs a good prayer session, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not saying prayer is going to hurt, right?
Right.
But we need to honor the fact that God designed the body and the brain to make changes and support the behavior of your choosing. So
Mm-hmm.
like I can't tell you how powerful it is to really think about a brain that is reoriented around drinking. It's
Mm-hmm.
reoriented. It's now that's its main thing. That's a powerful thing.
Right.
And to think that you can just say, stop doing it. Or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about alcohol. I don't know anything about addiction, but I can cure this person. That's
Right.
quite a bit of hubris. That's quite a bit of hubris. So just be aware of it. And see what will happen is while I'm talking, there are people who will be saying to themselves, they'll be like, I know somebody who just quit. I know I told this person. Again, remember how I started the discussion. There are stages of change. And so
Right.
you'll find different people in different stages.
Right. Correct.
That doesn't
Absolutely
mean
right.
that now you have sufficient perspective to be able to say, well, this is how most addicts are going to believe, or this is how most alcoholics are going to believe. I
Mm-hmm.
promise you, it is a disease that is deserving of professional attention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
So
when you're too close to a situation, like if it's a spouse or a child or a parent, that the person who's dealing with the addiction, they definitely a lot of times will resent or fight back to those people who are so close to them, trying to help them make that change. If it's someone like a mental health professional or in a different setting, that is they are more will be more obliged to listen and want to at least hear, possibly if they're in that phase where change is that they're in that phase of change where it's possible to make that decision.
100%. And let me help you understand how complicated alcoholism or addiction is. There are skilled practitioners, there are skilled therapists, passionate about therapy, who will say, let me get you to somebody who actually has expertise in dealing with alcoholism
For sure.
or
For
addiction.
sure.
because it's a specialized approach.
I'm
So
one of those therapists.
they'll-
I mean, I
and
am
you're skilled.
well, but and I definitely refer. I mean, I don't. Yeah, addiction is not my specialty, but definitely refer them to someone who specializes in that for sure.
Because there are just things that are counterintuitive. All right, I see a question here.
Yeah,
I call alcohol the serum. Why do people display their honest feelings a lot when inebriated?
it's a good
So,
question.
one of the things that allows me to modify my behavior, it allows me to modify my speech, and it allows me to edit my content is because my prefrontal cortex is functioning.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the things that will happen when people get a damaged prefrontal cortex is their capacity to filter will be impaired and it'll be reduced. So sometimes people who have a damaged prefrontal cortex, for example, they might even be more rageful. But other times you'll be like, I can't believe you said that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because the bluntness is kind of surprising. So one of the things alcohol will do, and it's famous for doing, is it will disinhibit. It will
Mm-hmm.
disinhibit. So where you might have been inhibited before, now you're more prone to just saying that thing.
Mm-hmm.
But as it progresses, one of the things that you do is you lose judgment. You lose the
Right.
judgment to edit. And that's why you might be a bit more truthful. Only problem is it might be brutally truthful. I hope that
Mm-hmm.
was helpful, Cassie.
Yeah, people say when they hear a drunk person saying things, they believe it. It may have come not out the right way, but because of they don't have that barrier that would help them to filter. Oh, maybe I shouldn't say this. Maybe this isn't the right time. That they're just more honest in those type of situations. So that makes sense. So Sharice is saying, so it's true. Once an alcohol. Oh no, she says, so is it true? Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Very good
Okay, so
question because people say that.
Sharice just dropped a bomb in here. For those who don't know, she just dropped a bomb where, like, a lot of people who are close to the community, they just pull their chair up because they're like, I want to see what he's going to
Yeah,
say.
what you gonna say? And
What you gonna
I'm
say?
interested in what you're gonna say.
Okay, so on this side of the equation, Sharice, there's what's called a 12-step community. So like Alcoholics Anonymous, so on and so forth. And so the message will be, look, take your condition seriously and just presume you're always an alcoholic. Because when you do that, it'll keep you humble, it'll keep you coming to the meetings, it'll keep you disciplined about your
Mm-hmm.
recovery, because the mindset is, I can never drop my guard. And you know what? That's a good thing. So
Right.
there's an advantage to thinking that way. Also, if you're going into the community, it's kind of silly to be like, I'm in the community, but let me fight with you on this issue. I don't think it's worth fighting over, you know, as far as, this label of alcoholism. Okay, now
Mm-hmm.
over on my side as a Christian psychiatrist, right? So, number one, um, I recognize that the brain, as I said before, is capable of orienting itself around the activity of your choosing. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
firm believer in neuroplasticity. I
Yes,
believe
me
your
too.
brain can shift itself into new behavior. So now you're talking to
Mm-hmm.
me, a neuroscientist, as a believer in neuroplasticity and in neurobiology, so
Mm-hmm.
that I do believe healing can take place. Now, where that's not helpful is, it's unfortunate when a person says to themselves, I'm healed, so now I can start now getting sloppy. That's where it's
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like there's a hubris, there's an arrogance where now I don't have to be as thorough. That would be unfortunate. That's where it can be helpful. But personally, the language I would embrace is, I'm in recovery, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
be in recovery forever. But I'm in
Mm-hmm.
recovery. I
Mm-hmm.
think language is so powerful. I would never want to pronounce over myself doom. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I like the language of recovery. I'm in
Recovery.
recovery.
Mm-hmm.
But I
I
think you can see
mhm.
the two advantages to both.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I think the community won't be mad at you for that. Most won't be mad at you for that. I mean, it's something similar to what I tell couples, right? It's like, especially when they're ready to graduate from therapy, um, if they stop doing the things that they have learned to do, they will be right back where they were to come into therapy in the first place. And so I think it's the same thing for an addict. Like they are in recovery. And so that just means that the lifestyle decisions that have gotten you to where you are to be in recovery and to be doing so well, you have to continue to do that throughout your life so that you're not practicing actively in an addiction space. So it makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. Love it, Tim. Love it. I say I'm recovered in recovery. Here's another statistic that should really motivate you to take your recovery as serious as possible. This is a stat coming from the National Institute of Health as well as the World Health Organization.
Mm.
Heavy drinkers die on average 24 to 28 years earlier than their counterpart, their non-drinking
Mm.
counterparts. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So long-term heavy alcohol use can shorten life expectancy by 2 to 3 decades.
Mm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when combined with other drug use and things like smoking. Okay, so this hopefully would have a person be very motivated. So I just want to make sure I was clear in answering your question. So if you have a loved one that is suffering with alcoholism, get some professional guidance in terms of,
Mm-hmm.
hey, how should I tackle this?
Mm-hmm.
Because the things you might be inclined to do that you think are helpful might not be helpful, and some of the things that
Mm-hmm.
you might be thinking might be unhelpful might be helpful. Get some professional guidance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, I like what I mean. I know this is not up here, but I like a comment. Let's see if we can put it up there.
Let's see. I truly believe in what he is saying about the neuroplasticity. As someone who's going through that, I can say it takes a lot of prayer and dedication. And dedication.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's the reason I can believe that when a patient is sitting in front of me, there's hope. There's hope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There is genuine neuroplastic support for your transformation.
There is. You know, what we believe as mental health professionals, as soon as you pick up the phone, that's the beginning of your healing process. So as soon as you are, wanting to reach out for help, that is the very first step. And so
Powerful.
that's the beginning of the process. But yeah, but let's so okay, and I have a question, and maybe others, do as well, and like what we're talking about. So, if someone for whatever reason is not able to get into a rehab situation, I mean, and they're not even able to afford, traditional therapy to stop, what would you say to that person? But they want to stop
Uh,
drinking.
fir- First and foremost, I would say, um, let's be honest. You use some very creative ways to get alcohol, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, let's be, and it's funny because they'll like sheepishly smile and they'll be like, yes. And sometimes I'll even say, tell me some of the stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just saying the brain, just the brilliance involved in getting alcohol. Like, and so I'll say, hey, the same brilliance you use to acquire alcohol, now I want you to use that for your recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Same brilliance, same brilliance you use to destroy yourself. Now I want you to use it to heal yourself. So be creative, and as best you can, don't limit yourself. Don't just assume I
Mm-hmm.
can't afford recovery when I could afford the drug, but I can't afford recovery. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing that I would say is we are all familiar with Alcoholics Anonymous. We're all familiar with it.
Yes.
And I would say it can play a powerful role
Mm-hmm.
in your recovery. It really can. Here's some
Mm-hmm.
things to consider. First and foremost, there tend to be so many groups. You can find a group that fits with your personality. So just
Right.
because you go to the first group and it doesn't fit, it doesn't mean another group might not just hit the nail right on the head and you find a community that supports you. Now, here's a mistake that some people can make. They can
Mm-hmm.
go to the group and decide not to work the steps.
Mm.
Okay? It's really important to actually work the steps. And part of
Mm-hmm.
that process is you got to get a sponsor.
Right.
You got to get a sponsor. But there's
Mm-hmm.
still a mistake that people can make. So you go to the group, you get a sponsor, you work the steps, but what's the mistake then? You don't graduate to becoming a sponsor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And those that actually do graduate to becoming a sponsor, they have a high rate of maintaining recovery.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
that so and it's free. The, it's usually with the mindset of pay it forward, you know.
Right. Yes.
And so here's now let's talk about the attitude of going to the meeting. You could go to the meeting and sit in the back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sit in the back where there are a lot of people who aren't quite as motivated and you're distracted and you maybe just leave with somebody who's also not all that committed.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could show up and you could be present.
Right.
You could be present. The other thing about the mindset is you could be looking for excuses as to why it won't work for you.
Mm-hmm.
You could be looking for excuses. And if you're going in with that mindset, you're going to find something.
Right.
But if, on the other hand, you chase your recovery the way you chased your addiction,
Mm.
you're
Love
not going to
that.
let that stuff push you out.
I love that. That's powerful. Chase your
Chase,
recover your
chase your
recovery
recovery with the
like you
same
chased your
vigor
addiction.
that you
Mm-hmm.
chase your addiction, with the same brilliance, with the same creativity. That's how you chase your recovery. Don't let
Mm-hmm.
anything dissuade you from your recovery, and you
Mm-hmm.
won't be distracted by a lot of the things that take other people out.
I love that. And because you mentioned AA meetings, and I actually went to an AA meeting, and this was for school. It was when I was getting my master's, and we needed to go to one of those type of meetings and do a paper on and all this stuff. So, but my experience was I was so impressed with the meeting and just the community and how. I mean, honestly, I'll be honest with you. What I saw at that AA meeting is the way a very loving, healthy
Church,
church should be. They like looked out for each other, encouraged each other. There was so much love there. I was like, wow. I felt like I had literally been to church. It was such a spiritual experience that I witnessed. I mean, just because they were giving testimonies. They were crying, they were crying because of where they've come from or just the things that they've battled. And some were encouraging those who were just, starting up. It was just really like just a beautiful experience. I have to
so
say, I was impressed.
I didn't even know I was going to do addiction psychiatry, but my project in medical school was going to AA meetings. It
Mm-hmm.
surrounded going to AA meetings. And the thing that was really cool to me was, you know how in church you show up and it's a facade? Like you don't show up to church and you be
Yes,
like,
I know exactly what you mean.
I
I know
wish there
exactly.
was like this big bucket where you could take your sin, and
Right.
just like put that badge on, right?
Yeah.
No, it's the reverse in church. It's like there's no label for what your
Mm-hmm.
issue is, but in the 12-step meeting, it's no, this is my issue. This is my issue, and there's no judgment. There's no
Right.
shame. It's just upfront. No, this is my issue, and everybody's like, "Hey, man, me too. Hey, sit down. Let's share." And it's like one of the first settings where you don't have to be ashamed, so to speak.
Right. And you're not trying to hide because in church everybody wants to try to like give their appearance of, yes, I have it all together. My family, my husband, my marriage. At an AA meeting, nobody's trying to even act like that.
Right.
It was just such a, it was just a beautiful thing to witness. It really was.
It was a place authenticity was celebrated. Like, yeah,
Yes.
like so
Yes.
that was my experience of it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was just it was I found that very
Yes.
therapeutic.
We have a great question from Joanne here. You can read it if you want
Can
to.
someone who is recovering from can someone who is a recovering cocaine addict not using cocaine for the past 15 years, but is now drinking a lot of beers, seemingly not affect, can still be considered an addict or alcoholic? Well, you got to know in the recovery community, it's sort of an all or none. Now, in fairness, they
Mm-hmm.
make an exception for smoking. I wish they didn't, but like one exception is made for smoking, but that aside, any other addiction is viewed as um, messing up your recovery. So
Which would
if
make
you're a
sense.
cocaine addict and now you're drinking alcohol, the
Mm-hmm.
recovery community would not be like, "Amen, brother." Nah, that's not that's not
Right.
that's not celebrated, if you will. It'd be frowned upon and certainly
Mm-hmm.
discouraged.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Because you're just slipping to a different addiction when you're going from one to the other. Man, I could go deeper in this, but even if they leave substances, they might go to something else like, I don't know, like gaming. I don't know. People get addicted to
well,
gaming. Just
sugar, like
yeah, something like,
sugar
yeah,
was a big
sugar
one,
for
and
sure.
smoking was a big one. And it's really
Mm-hmm.
sad when people succumb to smoking because alcohol we're saying is killing about 140,000 people a year. Smoking is killing 430,000 people a year.
Mm,
So like you
yeah.
really don't want to succumb to that one.
Right.
Um, so I think when you identify an addiction, it's an opportunity to do a search to see what is it that I'm longing for. What what
Right.
what what was it that this
Mm-hmm.
addiction was self-medicating? And
Mm-hmm.
yes, there will be a temptation to satisfy the desire with a counterfeit.
Mm-hmm.
And you heard it here first. I'm saying these are counterfeits. These are counterfeits for your true desire. If you pay attention
I
to,
100%. I mean,
yeah,
that's what
if
I
you,
share with my clients in therapy. We
right?
I was saying what you just said is what I share with my clients in therapy.
If you pay attention to the core of a desire, desires
Mm-hmm.
tend to be pure. Desires tend to be pure. Like when you
Mm-hmm.
think about um, a longing to be with the person, all right, that's a pure desire. When you
Right.
think of even alcohol, a lot of times people start drinking because they feel nervous when they show up in a public setting.
Yeah,
That's
social
pure.
anxiety with the social anxiety. Mm-hmm.
That's pure. You take a person who maybe is using cocaine. Again, like you want to feel good. No, that's pure. And a lot of addiction is a desire to escape the pain.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
pure.
Yes.
Now, the question before you is, will you use a counterfeit to satisfy the desire?
Mm.
That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
That's the trick. And that's what you want to avoid. You
Mm-hmm.
want to use something genuine and you want to avoid the counterfeits. Why a counterfeit? Because with a counterfeit, it's not truly going to satisfy the desire. And if it
Right.
does satisfy it, it's a temporary satisfaction. There's a
Right.
famous quote in the 12 step community:
Mm-hmm.
one is too much, and 1,000 is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
One
Mm-hmm.
is too much, and 1,000 is not enough. I can't think of a better
Right.
description
Me
of
neither. It was
something
great.
that's a counterfeit.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have another comment. Ashley says, I've been in Al Anon since 2015. We are taught not to control the addict's recovery. I see him falling back and not into old, let's see, back in, not old patterns, and he relapses. What's the balance? Not controlling, but being supportive. So she's trying to be a supportive, not taking over because that's what she's taught not to do, which is good. But how can she support?
Well, I think, and sad to say, it sounds like Melody, the author of Codependent No More. Her name is
Right.
something
It's slipping.
Melody.
It's slipping my. It's slipping my.
I forget,
You
but
answer
but
the question and I'll look it up because
but
I'm forgetting it too.
sincerest, condolences to that giant in the field of
Yeah.
addiction, and she was just so helpful with codependent. With codependency, you're trying to do for someone something they can do for themselves, and it's important to actually control what you can, control what's
Yes.
important, and
Yes.
so this is where healthy boundaries are important. And a boundary is useless without a consequence. So you want to, and this is where some therapeutic reflection can be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where what you can do is you can take some time to see what will be my boundaries. Okay.
Right.
What will be the boundaries that support, you know, and what will be the consequences if those boundaries are violated?
Right.
And it's good to clarify that. And then it's good to clarify that with that loved one. And so, as you can see, because I don't know you, I don't know the situation, I don't know the person in question, I can't speak really intelligently on it. And this is why a therapist or someone with the expertise can
Mm-hmm.
custom tailor and customize a recommended group of boundaries, for you. Like you guys could co-create them, and of course the appropriate consequences. But that's
Right.
why it's so important. But that's a great question.
Right. And
Um,
Codependent No More was written by Melody Beadle.
Beetle,
Melody.
was it? What is it?
Is it? Oh no, no, I'm sorry, not Beetle. Betty. Melody. Beatty.
Beatty, Beatty or
Beatty. There it
Beatty or
is.
Beatty.
Beatty.
And
Okay.
recently, she unfortunately passed away. So, sincerest condolences
Yes.
to her loved ones that and the addiction community that's missing her because her book was a landmark book.
Yes, it really was. It really was.
Um,
Here's another question. What is the effect of shame and guilt on someone's recovery? Came in late, and I don't know if you had talked about it
no,
yet.
we
Yeah.
didn't talk about
Nope, we didn't.
shame and guilt in recovery. Um, David, I'm going to answer that question. Before I do that, I'm going to plug the fact that I am doing a stress webinar, a stress mastery webinar this Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific, this Thursday. So, Amber, I
Make
think I'd sent you a link to
Right.
help you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, you guys don't want to miss this. Like I said, because I did mention it at church on Sabbath. So you don't want to miss this, guys. And like I said, when I announced it, we're all dealing with stress and we can all learn how to better deal with stress in a healthy way. We will benefit our mental health and our physical health and just our life in general. And this is a free webinar. So you want to go there. You definitely want to
Okay.
go there. And I think Amber's working and getting that up. So you
She's
guys will
fabulous.
know where to
So
go.
for those of you, just in case we don't get the link, info at the Mastermind Institute. Just email me at info at the Mastermind Institute, and I will send the link over to you. Again, info at the Mastermind Institute. All right, now let me answer David's question. What is the effect of shame and guilt? See, this is why it is so important to limit the focus on shame and even on guilt, because when you really focus on shame and guilt, one of the things it will do is it can actually trigger a relapse. You can feel so ashamed and so worthless. Remember, addiction is a disease of escape. So you can feel so awful. Guess what? You want to escape feeling awful, and you end up succumbing. You end up actually, you can end up relapsing. So what I'm getting at, David, is there's a point at which um, shame and guilt, there's a point at which shame and guilt can actually like not help you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to be aware of that. Um, I'm checking. That link is not me, Amra. I mean,
It was me. Is that not your link? The
that's not me.
mastermindinstitute.com?
It's the mastermind, not
Oh,
no,
the
this is master.
Mastermind
It's
Institute.
the
Okay, there
mastermind.
you go. Amber,
But I
make
don't know if that's the link um,
the Mastermind. Okay.
for the thing. But anyway, so I just want you to think about that, and maybe you can make a comment while I get Amra the link.
Okay. Yeah, you can get the correct link out there. Let's see. We have other comments and questions. Let's see. Sharice again wants to know, I have a friend who makes his own beer. What's the advice can be given concerning his alcoholic tendencies if he can make his own? I mean, it's still beer, so I don't think it. I mean, I don't think it matters if he can make it. I don't know if I'm completely understanding the question, but whether he gets it at a store, if he makes it, if he's addicted to it or cannot stop, all the principles stay the same. The first time I saw the name Spirits mentioned on a store that sold alcohol, I was clueless, but they don't hide what it is. I agree. I mean, growing up, I didn't really realize what them calling it spirits, but it really is. It can really medicate the mind and to take over the way that we would normally think when we're not intoxicated with alcohol or any drug. So I think spirits is definitely the correct, a good name for it. So yeah, there's a lot of different. Did you want to say something, Dr. Whyte?
With the prior question, view the addiction as an opportunity to go on a journey to solve the real issue.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say, for example, as opposed to drinking their alcohol, well, maybe I'll make my own. That's still using a substitute. It's still using a counterfeit. So I think it would be worth exploring what is it that I'm really after. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what addictions steal from us, or that's what counterfeits steal from us,
Right.
is the ability to find out what am I really after?
Mm-hmm.
What is my true desire? It's a worthwhile journey. I mean,
It is.
just
It
to
really
explore
is.
what is it that I truly desire, because I think that'll be incredibly powerful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's definitely people who are appreciating this topic. I know David Hunt says that he's appreciating this and he'll have to go back and listen to the whole thing. But it is a very important topic. And just kind of piggybacking off of what Dr. Whyte said, again, I do share. I'm not an addiction counselor specialist. I don't specialize in addiction, but of course, I do. I'm dealing with clients who are dealing with different mental health issues, with anxiety, depression, and they also are addicted to some substance, whether that's weed or cigarettes or these different things. And when we're doing, talk therapy, where we start to get into what are some of those base issues. Like you said, what are some of the feelings that you're trying to numb through taking these different substances? And so dealing with that and going to the core foundation of these issues, I find is very helpful in the recovery process of recovering from any addiction. And because a lot of times people start at such a young age in covering up these emotions and just not wanting to feel the pain of that or think about that. And if I can, take a hit of something or drink something or smoke something that will make me forget about it, they will continue to do that every single day. So when we go and get to the root issues, it really can help give some freedom and some relief. And that's not taking away from going to like a rehab and things like that, but it is helping to deal with the core issue of why you started down this path in the first place.
And
Dr. Whyte, go
well, I'll
ahead.
tell you something interesting. So from time to time, I remember in treating someone with addiction, um, they may have had a loved one who passed away, let's say like a year ago, but they had escalated their drinking shortly after that person passed away. And now in treatment, where they've been detoxed, it's as if they're crying about it, that like their grief experience is as if it happened yesterday, as if the death happened yesterday. Now, why would that be? Because it's almost as if the substance, the counterfeit, had interfered with their ability to process the grief, to experience the grief. And that's how profoundly we can be impacted by relying on a counterfeit. Once you remove that counterfeit, it's waiting for you. It's right there waiting for you. So now Joanne said, I'm trying to figure out how to let that individual know that drinking alcohol is a counterfeit of cocaine. Will he be offended or feel defeated? Well, Joanne, these are the questions I would need to know in order to answer that question. I would, and I'm not asking to know them. I'm just like letting you know why it's hard to answer that question. I don't know your relationship with the person. I don't know if you have listened to them enough to build the credibility to where they would award you with having influence over them. I don't know your understanding of addiction or recovery. Um, so I hope you just see there is just a litany of things that go into making a recommendation to a person. And the first is you have to be perceived as credible by that person. And part of being perceived as credible is being knowledgeable on the issue. Number two is them being clear you're emotionally invested in them and them feeling like you've listened to me enough to to the point where I'm literally asking you, hey, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? And what you'll find is people will often make recommendations prior to having earned the right to make those recommendations. So I think Joanne's follow-up question then would be, well, what can I do? You know, and that's why the professional consultation would be so critical, because there is
Right.
something to be done. Um,
Yes.
and I'm not minimizing prayer. I believe prayer changes things. But I think that more can be done. But I want you to see why professional consultation is critical, because then you can customize it to the situation. You can customize.
Right. Which
Ashley
needs to happen.
Owens. Hi, Ashley. I'm very sick right now, having seizures and being unable to enforce boundaries because I need his help and I have no other support. How can I navigate follow through on boundaries? Boy, Ashley, that was powerful. Your statement on seizures is an important reminder about why. Oh, and I'm not saying, by the way, that this is like alcohol related. I'm just saying seizures triggers my recollection of something that we want to kind of warn you about.
Right.
um, Sometimes there are people who they've been drinking a lot of alcohol, and then for some reason they decide they just want to stop abruptly, and that is incredibly dangerous, to abruptly stop alcohol outside of the care of professionals, and medical professionals. And the reason is because it puts a person at risk for seizures, strokes, heart attacks, that kind of stuff. because it can be incredibly dangerous during withdrawal, especially if you're outside of medical care. There are things that need to be managed. There are conditions that need to be managed, um, that sometimes it's not obvious. I remember when I was detoxing patients, we were dealing with things like their blood pressure shooting up, heart rate shooting up massively.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have to medicate them. We would have to treat them with something that simulated alcohol, and then we would taper them off
Mm-hmm.
to safely get them through their withdrawal period.
Mm-hmm.
So thank Ashley, because it reminded me just to talk about that a little bit. But this, Ashley, I mean, this is complicated.
It's
That
very
situation
complicated.
is incredibly complicated, and it definitely warrants getting some professional support. Now, I've said that many times, and so some of you may wonder, okay, well, let's say I'm on a shoestring budget, and but I need professional help. What are
Mm-hmm.
resources that would be available to me? A lot of times you can get some pretty excellent resources at the county level. Okay, so out
Mm-hmm.
here for me, it's the county of San Bernardino. There's adjacent to it, county of Riverside. And these counties really try to empower themselves to be able to meaningfully impact a population and
Mm-hmm.
address their mental health needs, including their addiction needs. So I would definitely investigate at the county level what's available to me. Obviously, if you're
Yes.
insured, you want to contact your insurance and check in and see what is available to you. You can go to your primary care doctor and you can, again, you can ask and find out, hey, what's available to me? What might be a therapist that actually has expertise in this area? Then, of course, there's your 12-step communities. Sometimes in the 12-step communities, again, you might learn about resources that
Mm-hmm.
are available in your area. But Ashley, super complicated question. Thank you for the courage of asking a question like that. But it really deserves some customized attention.
Yes. Okay. This is going to be our last question, but definitely let's take this
Since
from
I stopped
Christopher
using
Andrew.
drugs and alcohol, I feel like I've lost touch with my intellectual feelings. But in
Mm.
addition, 2.5 years ago, when I was still using, I was stabbed in a coma and I was in a coma for 3 days. Let's see. So, lack of oxygen, in addition to copious amounts of drugs, have played a role in my memory loss as well as what seems to be dissociative disorder. Any thoughts on that?
Mm.
So,
Wow.
Christopher, if I were you, I would pick up the book, The Brain That Changes Itself. The Brain That
Mm-hmm.
Changes
Mm-hmm.
Itself. Because
Which is
I would be investing in personal mental health rehab. I would be
right.
stimulating my brain like crazy.
Yes.
I would be trying to learn languages. I'd be trying to learn, different activities. I would be communicating to my brain, I'm not done with you.
Right.
I'm
And
not
it's
done
the
with you.
neuroplasticity, and
I
it can happen.
I would be triggering
Mm-hmm.
neuroplasticity.
Mm-hmm.
In that book that I'm recommending to you, The Brain That Changes Itself, it has these amazing stories of people who had suffered like massive strokes. You're talking about like anoxic injuries, and I'm not minimizing that. But these
Right.
are people who suffered massive strokes. But because their rehab was so aggressive, they were able to get amazing recoveries, amazing
Mm-hmm.
recoveries.
Mm-hmm.
But just the idea, but the general picture of what I'm describing, Christopher, is I would really want to stimulate my brain. I would want to challenge my brain. I'd want to read. I'd want to think. I'd want to memorize scripture. I would want to learn languages. I would,
Mm-hmm.
if tell me what you do for a living, Christopher. Just it'll kind of help me kind of frame my advice to you. But I
Mm-hmm.
would I would really want to stretch my brain. Um,
Right.
Being patient and loving with it, because I'm not saying overwhelm it, but I just mean as much as it would allow me to, I would want to grow and I would want to get better at my activities. I would want to really
Mm-hmm.
apply myself, because the brain. is capable of change. We are gifted with a neuroplastic brain,
Yeah.
and it tends to have the ability to help us with the activity of our choosing.
It's the most beautiful gift I feel like that God gave us
It's
in our
like he's a
human
farmer
bodies.
and a carpenter for the past 20 years. So
Mm,
I would be developing, I'd be trying to learn new aspects of carpentry, you know, as much as it's safe or whatever, you know, because I don't,
mm-hmm.
you know, I don't know your
Right.
particular situation, but I'd really want to be trying to develop my skill to become really proficient. I'd want to do everything I could to communicate to my brain, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
done with you. And
That's
talk
right.
about the vitamins that I'd be going after. I would want to just love on my brain with nutrients, love on
Mm-hmm.
my brain with sleep, love on my brain with oxygen. Um, so you got your B12, you got your, I mean, it's just, and YouTube is right there. So there's so much we can
Yes.
use research to find out
Oh, there's
here
so
are good
much. There's
things to
so
help
much.
my brain.
The brain can
But
change
that's how I
itself.
would
It
approach that.
rejuvenates. That's right. Yeah, there's the book right there, The Brain That Changes Itself. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yes, the book
Yeah,
is beautiful. Well,
that
I'm
was very
glad you guys love this topic
absolutely.
because, yeah, it's been it was great to share with you this evening. There's so much there, and there's still possibly more to talk about. We will be back next week. And so look out for that, but definitely share this on your social media. Share it with on your social media with your family and friends, because even if they're not struggling with this themselves personally, they have a friend or a loved one that they can learn and to grow and just to have this knowledge for themselves. So definitely share this on your social media. And thank you again, Dr. Whyte. Thank you, Amber
Absolutely.
Sowell, for being our producer,
Don't
doing
forget
all the
the
behind
stress
the scenes
mastery.
stuff.
Yeah, don't forget the stress mastery webinar
Yes.
this
Don't, yes.
Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Pacific. You know, I know we're all stressed out. Come out. It's free.
Yeah, it's free.
Free
And
to
I think we're going to put it up there
yeah,
again. I think that's going to go back up there so you guys can see that. And um, yeah, I think it's going back up there. But it's
yeah,
the mastermindinstitute.com/webinar, and you'll be able to
yes.
get that information. And if you missed that, we put it up before. You can always do the replay and play this back so you can see. So don't miss it. Tell your friends. Tell your friends because there is stress everywhere. Everywhere. Yes, it's in the chat there. So definitely click that link.
Be
So
safe,
it's there in the
everyone.
chat.
Always a pleasure. Sister.
Always a pleasure. I'll see you next week. We'll see you next week. Bring a friend, bring a family member. We love to see you here on Mental Health Monday. Have a good evening. Bye bye.
Take care. Till next time.